Thank you for coming to our regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Pearsall to be held today, Tuesday, September 10th. The time is 7 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Mary Moore.
Present.
Juliana Hernandez.
Present.
Richard Gavin.
Here.
Sonia Hernandez.
Here.
Brenda Trevino.
Here.
Robert Villarreal.
Present.
Roland Segovia.
Here.
Davina Rodriguez. Here.
We have a quorum, so let us please stand for our invocation as well as pledge of allegiance. All righty, Pastor, please.
Heavenly Father, Lord God, we just come before you this evening, Lord. First, giving you thanks for allowing us to have this life, Lord. We ask, Lord, that you would take complete control of this gathering, Lord, this meeting, Father. We put the needs and the plan, the vision of the city of Pearsall in your hands, Father. Guide our representatives, guide our council, our mayor, Lord God, and all those who are going to partake of today's meeting, Father. Lord, that your will would be done so that this city would prosper and be a shining example of your grace that is amongst us. Lord, we thank you once again for your goodness and your mercy. And Lord, we just ask that as we move forward, Lord, that we would move forward as a community united under the banner of your love. In Jesus' mighty name we ask all these things. Amen?
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have anyone signed up? So, moving on to 5A. Presentation, a show of appreciation for Mr. Santos Bernal for the 39 years of dedication to the city of Pearsall and its citizens. Amen.
I think he's hiding, Mayor. Somewhere. He is somewhere. I just saw him. There he is. There he is. Mayor, we got him a couple of things.
There he is.
So I did want to recognize him, and I know he's hesitant to come, but he's made it here. He's been with the city 39 years. I do want to present him with we got him some gifts. He's really, and I'll say this, a lot of these guys are pretty simple folks. They're not asking for a lot. They normally, do a lot of the work. They do work that a lot of the city doesn't know about. This gentleman's worked for the wastewater treatment plant for several years. Before I goof this up, I did want to quote one of my favorite quotes. Kind of reminds me of what we do as public servants. It comes from Martin Luther King. It says, "If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause and say, 'Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well.'"
Awesome.
And saying that, on behalf of the city, and I think the mayor and city council, if y'all can, I don't know if y'all want to take a picture with him. I'm not great with pictures, but on behalf of the city, we want to offer you this token of our appreciation. We bought you some gifts.
Appreciate it.
I know we have to talk tomorrow tonight, but
yes.
Anyway, here's your plaque there. Congratulations, 39. He's officially retiring tomorrow, so we're going to try to have him retiring tomorrow. I'll get out of the way because I'm going to get picture taken.
I think I might be shorter than these.
Yes. Which camera?
Oh, I almost kept your gifts here. You don't want to.
Oh my goodness. Very good stuff. What an honor. Alrighty, moving on to 5B, presentation from San Antonio Food Bank.
Thank you so much. Right down here?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, good evening, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cesar Ortiz, and I represent the San Antonio Food Bank. I've been working for the San Antonio Food Bank for maybe around 4 years, and sadly, the last couple of years, the calls asking for help have increased, coming from the county of Frio, Medina, and Tascosa. We've been having a shed from the food bank here for the past 11 years. We've been using that shed as a warehouse. And the thing is that I talked to my supervisor and I was like, you know what, let me move there. Let me see how can I help the community. I know there's a lot of people that need help with their federal benefits. I know there's a lot of people that need help with food. Our main purpose is to reflect whatever we're doing in the San Antonio Food Bank, but here on Pearsall. For now, I'm basically helping out and reaching out to the community to let them know that all the federal benefits that they can apply for, which is SNAP and Medicaid, TANF, I will be helping them on site, so they don't have to drive all the way to San Antonio. I know there's other people that don't have transportation. I know there's a lot of single moms that they don't want to drive all the way to the city. So instead of going to San Antonio and spending maybe 7 hours of their day, they can now come with me. I'm going to be here on site Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 12 right now because I'm reaching out. But maybe in 2 weeks I'm going to be there Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm going to be helping, I'm going to be answering questions, whatever questions they have about their federal benefits, whatever help they do need or they don't know what to do. Even, I know there's a lot of, among the Hispanic community, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear right now. I'm there to answer all the questions, I'm there to help. Basically, we want to make an impact right here on Pearsall, right here on Divine, or even in Hondo. I mean, we're trying to reach out as far as we can, going even south. People can come here to Pearsall and now get the help that the San Antonio Food Bank provides. Also, as you know, every 4th Tuesday of the month, we give away a box of groceries to senior citizens. So you don't have to, you don't have to apply for anything. It's just like if you show and you register, we will provide that box of food to the senior citizens. And we're trying to expand it to disabled, and then we're trying to expand even to put a food pantry in there. So when people need food, they can just show up. There's no qualification whatsoever. If you need food and we have it, we'll just give it away. We'll just hand it out to you. So I'm here to basically present myself to the community to see if there's any way that you can even reach out further so people know that I'm going to be here from now on. Basically, I'm going to be serving Frio, Medina, and Atascosa at the moment. Also, there's another thing that we have, which is if the client cannot come, if they have no transportation, I can go to their house and apply in person with them. That's another thing that I'm willing to do to even help even more to the community. And as well, if you know anyone that needs help and they cannot come, you can go to our website, which is safoodbank.org. Scroll all the way to the down, and there's a section that says referrals. You fill out that referral with the information of the person that needs help. That referral goes directly to the main branch in San Antonio, and it bounces back to me. I'll just take care of that person with all the pleasure that I have. Okay? So basically, yes, I mean, I've been here for maybe a month. I'm trying to reach out as fast as wide as I can, but thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. I'm willing to do everything in my hands to help the community. I mean, I just want to do it, and with your help, it's going to be way easier. So thank you so much, Council, for your time.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question. Have you reached out to the local agencies that we have here?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I have.
That's a real big contact. I have like 3 or 4 here in town.
Yeah, I've been passing out flyers, and basically I've been trying to reach everyone that I can.
You have a card on you?
Yes, I do.
call it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
This gentleman actually gave a presentation out at the Rotary Club meeting that I attended, and I felt the council needed to hear the presentation. It's, again, I think he's offering his services to be something good that the community took advantage of and got behind.
Pass it down, please.
I'll be. And then we go. Yes, just email me and I'll go. I'll be happy to.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Do we need a copy? Yes. If you want a copy. I can't hear you.
But if they can
No, that's it.
Thank you, Anna.
No, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, basically the area code 830, that's where you will always reach me all the time. If I'm not there, someone else will answer all the time, and then just give me the message and I'll call back right away.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Alrighty, we're moving on to new business. Item 6A, discussion and presentation, public comment regarding Pearsall Main Street program. This is for discussion only, no voting tonight. So let the discussion begin. I think I will begin first because it's very important that I speak out, because people said I'm keeping too quiet about the Main Street program. The heartbeat of a community is its downtown, and a vital downtown does two of many other things. One is retain and create jobs within the community. As a result, it increases the tax base. One of the ways that we thought of that would help our downtown is to be a part of the Main Street program. However, it's just not a program that you just sign up and you're automatically in. It's a very competitive program. So with the assistance of our former city manager and with the council approval and with the, we were granted the Main Street designation that was October 27, 2017. And with the hard work of the Main Street director and the board members, 16 months later, we earned our national accreditation. That was February 21st, 2019. With that accreditation, it made us eligible for grants. Grants that we could not apply for unless we are a part of the Main Street program. Now the grants are not coming from Main Street, it just makes us eligible for other grant sources. So after thinking about the possibility of the program being cut, it behooved me to ask Mrs. Deborah Drescher to come and present to the new counselors, as well as remind the other counselor what an honor it is to be a part of the Main Street program. So without further ado, I would like Ms. Drescher, if you may begin. After that, we will hear from the Main Street board members as well as citizens, and any point counselors, if you'd like to ask a question, just make it known, okay? So yes, ma'am, you have the floor. Thank you.
Mayor Moore, thank you. Very nice comments. Council and Mr. Reyes, thank you for inviting me to come and speak. I do have some folders. I was asked to come and talk for about 10 or 15 minutes to give you some information, background information about the program. So I have the presentation. There's a copy of the presentation in here for you to move on. It did go forward a couple slides. I'm not quite sure how to. So if I could just hand that to you. Yeah, go, yeah, you can go back. Sure? There, let me go back. There, good, okay. Now go forward. There you go. First slide, okay. So thank you all again for letting me come and talk to you. I've been in this job for about 14 years, and I have yet to have a day where I tire of talking about Main Street. So the main 2 points of the presentation tonight are to talk about both the benefits and the requirements, and which Mayor alluded to a little bit. So first of all, this is essentially our tagline or our kind of explanation of what the program is. And it is, at this point, we're going to be 40 years old as a Main Street program next year. We were one of the first coordinating programs in the country. So that's where proven comes in, because we're no longer talking about, we think this thing will work, and we want you to take a leap of faith with us. After 40 years, it absolutely does work, and we have data and facts to back it up. So it's a proven approach. It's a holistic approach, and basically it uses your historic assets in your town, but more specifically in your downtown, to create economic impact. We are an economic development program, a very unique, and we have a very unique and a very narrow focus, but our objective is to utilize preservation principles to create economic impact and to make communities better places. And so do you want me to use the mouse, or?
Just let me know.
Oh, okay.
Whatever you want to.
Okay, so just to keep going. Yeah, so the benefits and the requirements, go ahead. So number one, I think about 4 or 5 benefits in here that I wanted to go over with you, and feel free to stop and ask a question at any time that you might want to. First of all, like I said, we are a national program. We have 90 cities in Texas that are currently designated. We're one of the largest in the country. So through that, you're connected to not only one of the largest coordinating programs and the depth of knowledge in the network that brings you, but we're a part of we're a program of the Texas Historical Commission, which is the state agency for historic preservation. That's who we get our paychecks from, that's where our funding comes from, and all of that. But we're affiliated with the National Main Street Center, or what's called Main Street America, which is also 40 years old, because they created the general foundation for what Main Street is, which we picked up in the same year that they were rolling out the national approach. So we're one of, I think, 4 or 5 that are approaching our 40th anniversary. So part of the Texas Historical Commission, but affiliated with this nationwide movement. And that's important to you because there is a brand connection, and there is, like I know that you all are aware, there's a value in being connected to a nationwide brand that is recognized. And also in Texas, since we do have such a large program, I'm going to tell you in a minute about some of our longtime programs, there's a very, very deep breadth of knowledge in our network. Anything that you might think about doing in your downtown through your program, Leah, your Main Street manager, has the ability to tap into those resources because somebody has tried it, succeeded at it, or failed at it, and they're willing to tell you and share that with you so that you can learn from their experience as well. So here's our map of cities, and I point this out in part because, as you can see, we have in your population range, out of our 90 cities, we have 31 that are in your population range. And so here's some of ours that are in the Main Street programs. They are communities of all sizes all across the state. Our smallest, we have 4 in our network that are less than 2,000 in population, and then we have 18 that are over 50,000 in population, and some over 200,000 or 300,000 in population. Laredo, Brownsville, Eagle Pass, in this area, Kingsville. They're not in the urban category, but Uvalde is in the Main Street program. And so the point of that is that we have an operational model that we use, but it doesn't matter what size you are or where you are in the state, it can work for anyone. And it even is so broad as to, for instance, in Boston. Boston has 21 neighborhood commercial districts that are designated Main Street programs. So it even works in places like that. Thank you. And one of the second benefit that I wanted to talk to you about was that one of the things that makes this program work successfully for a community is kind of that stick-with-itness that you, we often say that it took 50 years for downtowns to become neglected in the ways that they were, and it's not going to happen overnight that they're going to be restored back to complete life. And so here's some of our I'm sure all of you are familiar with Grapevine near TFW. They've been involved continuously in the program for 33 years. And so, and then even some smaller communities like LaGrange is 20 plus years. And so it is that kind of community vision to create the place that you want using our model to make your community a better place through the revitalization of your downtown. But it doesn't happen quickly. Go ahead. And so here's the economic results over time. This is our from the first 2 quarters of 2019. Our 90 cities, again, of all of those sizes, had more than $202 million in reinvestment. A couple of years ago, after 38 years or something like that in existence, we surpassed $4 billion with a B in reinvestment, which is pretty incredible when you consider Dallas and Houston and places like that are not in the Main Street program. This is economic impact created largely through smaller communities. So go ahead. And so one of the things, since I'm here speaking to government, that I wanted to point out was, this is just an example, Lufkin has been involved in our Main Street program for many years. So the return on investment for every dollar that the government has put into supporting the program, operating the program, we do require staffing in programs. The return on their investment has been over time $6. So, you know, for every dollar that they spent, they got $6 in private reinvestment in return. So go ahead. So the next point that I wanted to talk about, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, is this is the framework that we operate under, and this is largely driven by volunteers. I assume that some of the people that are here in the audience tonight are members of the volunteer corps for Main Street. So it's the 4 points: economic vitality, it's that economic impact through revitalization of properties, which is the design part, but also primarily economic development through the development of small businesses and entrepreneurship. Then the promotion kind of goes to that branding and that image making, and then the organization. We do require that all programs have the board and the staff input. And then the other thing, I think this might be the last one on this part, is that we do have, you agree and contractually agree with the Texas Historical Commission to prioritize and focus on your downtown. We in turn provide all of our services to all of your stakeholders in your downtown, your property owners, your business owners. We have a 9-member staff in the state office, myself, and then we have a 4-member design staff, which includes an architect. That position is vacant right now, but they work directly with property owners on any kind of revitalization, rehabilitation that you might want to do. And then we have a small business development specialist as well, and some other staff that work on training and things like that. Here's the sorts of things that we might work with property owners on our design services. Half of our staff is focused on design. They're all design professionals. And because we don't work on billable hours like you might otherwise, of course we don't do the full scheme of design services, but we work on the things that are most needed. If it's paint or signage or something that's only a $500 project, that's okay with us because the whole point is to get back to that holistic aspect. Go ahead. And so here's some of the localized economic and business development services that we provide, and most of it is centered around helping develop and helping you understand and then tap into the potential of what your market potential is and what your marketplace gaps are and things like that, and what you can read on that and in the presentation that you have in your folder. Go ahead. And here's in your population range too, just a quick snapshot as well. This is a little bit dated for right now, but there's been an average of more than 800 million among 18 programs at that time because the populations are a little bit different, just on the kind of reinvestment that is going into their downtowns, and they're all working through the Main Street model. We also have a, only for Main Street cities and some of our certified local government programs, we have a website, and I invite you to visit that as well. Pearsall is live on it. It's called downtowntx.org. It is a website that we developed a couple of years ago because we realized that what we call small-scale developers that are looking to work in historic downtowns, to purchase and develop property, and entrepreneurs who are looking to open businesses in historic downtowns didn't have a formalized network to do so. So we created one. So this is under the concept that a small-scale developer or an entrepreneur might just find their next place to locate through this website. We get several thousand hits on it every month, so it's been pretty successful in the year and a half. Pearsall is live. Not everybody in our network is live yet, but I invite you to go look at that as well. That's another one of the benefits because you are listed in that website because you are a Main Street city. And then that's just the last kind of benefit of service. We make sure that we do whatever we need to do to keep programs running and moving forward. Go ahead. Okay, so then the last slide or two is just on the requirements of you as a city. The mayor alluded to that a little bit. You do have a contract in place every year with the Texas Historical Commission for your designation. So go ahead to the next slide. And these are the things typically, well, not typically, these are the things that we do require. We do require full-time staffing. It can be a split position. We don't allow part-time staffs in Texas, but we do allow split positions to where the Main Street manager, after the first 3 years of foundation laying, that they might have other job responsibilities as well, and a lot of our Main Street managers do. And then you can, we do require, of course, since you would be staffed, to have a budget in place. There are a lot of different funding sources, and I had shared with Leah and maybe the mayor too, and Mr. Reyes, I can't recall, that we have a spreadsheet that we keep of the different funding sources that our cities use, and so I shared that with you the other day that you had asked for. We do require reporting, because if you are going to prove that you are an economic development program, you need to be collecting the information that you need to be collecting to be able to show that, so we do require that, and then the board also in place. And the reason that we require volunteer boards in place is because it is truly a community-wide program. The community is a better place if you have a healthy and economically vital downtown. Go ahead. And this is in your folder as well. When you first came into the program, the First Lady came and visited, which is a tradition of our program. We had developed that rendering for you at that time, and then we came back a couple of months later, our whole team did, and we spent a few days here meeting with stakeholder groups and things like that, and we developed a plan of action for you, and that's in your folder as well. And so that's a plan that can get you through a couple of years of work. And all of our services are provided. The only thing that you pay us is $535 a year, and that is because we are we have this relationship that you contractually agree to certain things, and we contractually agree back to certain things with you to provide you services over time. So if you think of a city, I don't think you got a folder, do you? If you think of a city that, like Grapevine or others, Lufkin, LaGrange, that have been in the program for 20 and 30 years, and they get services provided over that entire period of time. They have accessed them at, and we don't say, this is what you get. We say, this is what do you need? And then we tailor our services to that. Couple of, Mayor had kind of alluded to grants. We are not a grant-making program. We have never been a grant-making program. That's not how we were established. But we do have, in a relationship with the Department of Agriculture, through their Texas Capital Fund, we get anywhere, or it passes through them, but it's a grant for the Texas Capital Fund Main Street Improvements Grant, $250,000 a year. Usually there's 4 to 6. Last year it was more than $1 million that was distributed. Typically it's not quite that much, but each Main Street community does an application and can be get $250,000 for a 30% match. And you can get it over and over again. Places like Elgin, Gonzales have gotten it 4 or 5 times, and you work that grant through them, but it is specifically for Main Street communities. Then we go out and get grants opportunities ourselves. For instance, Kingsville just got $20,000 to do some facade improvements through the National Main Street Center through a program that we're working on with them. Texarkana and San Augustine the year before split $80,000 through that same program. So although we don't have a pot of money that we distribute, our value comes in the services and then the access points that we do to keep our, to get our programs what they need to move forward. So hopefully that didn't take longer than 10 minutes. I did look at my watch before I started, but do you have any questions or?
Okay, thank you for your presentation. The question that I had, and I was kind of, I could say like not informed correctly. We use the word grants when we give these business owners, we match.
Well, yeah, and that's a local grant.
Yes.
You are doing that, yes. It's
But
just not coming from our
yes.
office, right?
What I was told is we've done 2 so far. And I think one was maybe 8,000 in the newspaper. And we give them $4,000. We match it up to $5,000. That money is coming out of our general fund. It's not coming from Main Street. It's not coming from the state. It's actually coming from our taxpayers. And that was the main concern that I have, is that we use the word grant and everybody assumes that it's done by grant works or coming from the state.
Right.
And we're not paying out of our pocket. The taxpayers are paying.
Yes.
out
And
of
that's
their
actually
pocket.
pretty typical. That's a pretty,
Yeah.
most economic development
And I know when we
programs
were
are that way.
talking about this, you know, we have 2 water wells down, we have streets, and that's what we're looking at. I really think the program is a very good program. It's just, we were trying to see where this money's coming from and where we can get it from. Since Main Street has been put in place, I've supported it. I just was misinformed with the word grant. I think we should let the people know that it's not a grant given by the state. It's a grant given by the taxpayers. And the taxpayers are paying, we gotta let them know that they're paying for these upgrades to downtown.
Right.
And we're matching it up to 5,000. And that was my main concern. And that, but you know, everything that you said, you know, you answered a lot of other questions that I have, and I thank you for coming out and giving your
Well, and
presentation.
that is a pretty typical economic development model, whether it's in Main Street or whether it's in more traditional economic development, is you incentivize, you target the kind of downtown or the kind of community or the kind of business or whatever that you want, and then you incentivize it to help make it happen. So, but no, that doesn't come from us. Almost all of our Main Street cities do have a grant program like that in place. But I did, and I think I didn't have your email, which is why I just maybe emailed it to you and Leah, is we do track our Main Street programs as to how they're funding their grant programs. And so that's what I sent you, I think, maybe earlier this week or last week. Or if not, I can get it for you. But so there's a lot of different ways that you can fund that. That might not be the general fund if that's not.
Yeah, and that's what was most of our
yeah.
main concern right now. We're looking at different things, and
Like
I was just under the impression that, oh yeah, you know, the state, she turns in an application, they say yes or no, and then we the state cuts them a check and we go on our way,
Yeah.
and we just pay her out of our budget, out of the general fund. But that's not what it's entitled
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
And it's a lot of those kinds of programs too are funded through economic development sales tax dollars also, because it's the people like buying at your 7-Eleven or your convenience store paying that sales tax, and so it's not necessarily coming at, or the hotel occupancy dollars or something like that. So not to take money away from somebody else that's using it. I'm not encouraging that or saying
Okay.
that, but that's a pretty common way to do it as well, so.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Now we'd like to hear from our citizens. While we have our Main Street, one of our board members here,
Yes, ma'am.
would like to speak, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Tiffany Ariana Valamakis, and I am a member of the Main Street Board. It is very disappointing that you are considering doing away with Main Street. This program is a very sought program by many cities, and it requires approval into the program. I'm so sorry. So it's a special designation given to us by the Texas Historical Commission. Therefore, it is an honor to be part of it. Being that the contract is being broken, if the said city ever wants this program to be back in the future, it will be very difficult or impossible to get back into the program. This program is made to assist downtowns with restoration and revitalization of downtown historic buildings. They provide the city with architects at no cost, economic development, and also help open the door for grant money. The program has been very successful with bringing the First Lady of Texas to Pearsall, hosting First Friday events like trunk or treats, the Hoppy Easter egg hunt, created the welcome sign at the exit 104 into our beautiful city, and has helped support local businesses and launched the downtowntx.org and much more. During our first year, we have successfully had 4 businesses participate in the facade improvement matching grant, where 2 have been successfully completed. 1 is still being worked on, and 1 is hopefully going to be approved on tonight's meeting. The focus for us has always been the kids of Pearsall, giving them activities that were there for them, whether it be 100 kids or 10. They are Pearsall's future. We, the Main Street Board, are all educated volunteers who work extremely hard to maintain our downtown structures. A group of young generation citizens who care about the direction of our city. We, the Main Street Board, have done nothing wrong but try to promote our city, and doing away with the program is very upset, as you can tell. This was the first program to bring all generations together, working as a team to create a better future for Pearsall. I'd like to inform you on something. I put a post on Facebook supporting the program, and a couple of days later, I got a threatening message saying they would be targeting my job, and I really did not appreciate that. My post did not identify anyone, nor did it point fingers at any specific individuals. The threats I received were viewed as a scare tactic and a violation of my civil rights. I leave you tonight with this quote by Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together for Pearsall is success. And I come to you asking you tonight to please reconsider the Main Street for Pearsall, Texas. Thank you very much, and I apologize, but I really do care about my city. That's why I came back with my master's degree, trying to educate our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please stand now.
Mayor, council, I appreciate y'all taking the opportunity to listen to me, and I will be as brief as I can be. My name is Dave Ritchie. I have had the privilege for the last 4 years to be the president of a group of locals called the Frio Vision Alive. We came together 4 years ago with hopes of bringing attention to our downtown area. And we did that with a market event. Well, tragically, in the paper a couple of weeks ago, we all saw where we're fixing to dissolve Frio Vision Alive for lack of volunteers. But we also feel that what we started, the Main Street program, has picked up that torch and run with it. And they've done an extremely good job to try to help bring focus to the downtown area, to incentivize local businesses to take care of their facades, to make it look nice. I was born and raised here. Been here a little over 60 years. I take great pride in the city of Pearsall. I want the city of Pearsall to be the shining star that Reverend Ponce spoke about in his prayer. The only way I can see that happening is if we continue with this program. They've done a great deal of work. Ms. Carrizales has stepped up and run with it and is very passionate about it. I spoke with her on several occasions. She has a great passion for this program. I have made several of the board meetings with her board. They're very passionate. They're now doing the first Tri-Youth event that is bringing recognition to the local businesses in the downtown area that right now is designated for Main Street. It's a young program. Programs take a while to mature and grow, and I know the hope is that that 8 block area will expand and they'll start moving out. That's up to y'all, you know. Most of your citizens would like for this to continue. I would love for it to continue. I'm planning on getting involved in Main Street. As Frio Vision Live dissolved, over the years we've been able to come up with some seed money that we'll use for the next program every year. Well, we come to a decision we were going to split that with the 2 entities that supported us so well, the City of Pearsall and Frio County. Well, if the Main Street program isn't viable, then there's no place for us to put that money. We'll funnel it all into the county because that's another entity that's trying to bring a focus on our community. I appreciate your time. Please weigh it heavily on your heart as you make your decisions. Thank you.
Any other citizen like to speak? So come forward. Any comments, Council?
We consider on the budget for the position?
It's not an action item,
Oh.
it's discussion.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Discussion. Can you say it?
What was your question again? I didn't hear it.
If we could vote on it, but
No, I
it's.
didn't say
You didn't say vote.
Yeah, that's what he
I
said.
didn't say, well,
What did you say? Repeat your before you
could we
interrupted.
consider to keep the position of the Main Street program? Depending on what the outcome would be?
I think we would put that on the next agenda. He's asking if the Main Street program could be reconsidered.
Now,
We'd have to do that.
the entire program, the entire budget? Okay.
I have a question. The lady that made your presentation from the state, she did stated that there was a grants through a different department, my understanding?
Yes.
And isn't it the director of this program, isn't she already working on getting grants with the different departments, just like she stated?
Well, if you can comment, please.
We started looking at that one grant that I had showed y'all, what was it called, Deborah?
The Texas Capital Fund, is that what you're talking
Yes,
about? Okay.
we actually did contact GrantWorks to start working on that. We have till October 31st to apply for that, and that is one that we did already ask for assistance trying to figure out exactly how, it's based off of a rating. Last year we didn't get it, we didn't have national recognition, we didn't have national accreditation. That's why we worked so hard to get it this year so that we could apply for the grant and we had a better chance at it. Another thing that is also on there after all of the ratings is ADA sidewalks. So Affiliate TxDOT did come in and they did replace the sidewalks. So that gives us another rating. Because of that, now we have a higher rating to get that grant. Our first year we didn't have, I think our rate was like 65 out of 70. 70 was the year before that got the grant. So now, because we are nationally accredited, I think we were able to get 5 or 10 points off of that. And with the sidewalks, that's more points. So me and Mr. Reyes did actually contact GrantWorks. We're waiting on the response for that, and we have till October 31st to get that grant finished.
For how much?
It was a max of 200.
It's 250,000 is the max.
And we'll,
And you do have
per city.
And you do, and to get that grant, you have to be part of the Main Street program. So that is one thing.
okay, so the 250,000, that's per city, correct? And how many cities typically apply for that grant?
Well, it actually comes through the Texas Department of Agriculture and the Texas Capital Fund, their Rural Affairs Department. And so I don't actually know. It is pretty competitive and it is very mathematical in the way it is scored. I think there's usually a minimum of 4 that will get it. It's community development block grant money that originates at the federal level. So it depends on how much the allocation from the federal government to the Texas Department of Agriculture may fluctuate during the year. But it was actually an increase just in the past couple of years from $150,000 to $250,000.
And that money can be used to pay salaries of our employees?
No, it's only for infrastructure type, sidewalk improvements, accessibility, different things like that.
Lighting.
Lighting,
Okay,
yes.
so that doesn't cover the employee salary?
No.
And does that match the grants that the city provides to these businesses that apply for them? Could they use that money towards that?
No.
Because what we're using money out of our general fund to match these grants.
Yeah, no. This is a grant under the federal guidelines for accessibility. It's
accessibility.
Accessibility,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to make it easier, safety and security.
Okay.
So it's the federal definition of slum and blight removal.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah. So yeah, it can't be used for those other things.
So that grant is strictly for accessibility improvements? Okay, thank you.
But there is but it's, you have to clarify that there is a possibility of getting monies from the federal and state, right, in a form of a grant, so that it'll be alleviate this area, so that it won't be just a bulk of, coming, like as she stated, from the taxpayers. Now there is a possibility to get federal grant monies, and you do have the eligibility to get approximately $250,000, right? In that, so that he can help with all things to do with that program.
Right, with that program.
With that program. All expenses from that program.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
Ma'am, it goes to the lady from the Main Street. My understanding is that there's a contract.
Yes.
Okay. The first time I heard about this contract, it came out through the paper that there was a contract, So what I did was I came to the city and nobody knew about a contract. I called some council members and nobody knew about a contract. I called the city manager, city attorney, nobody knew about the contract. So what I did was I came and did an open record request. When it was approved and when it was voted on by this council, okay, on this contract. And up till now, under my open record request, there still hasn't been no agenda items or minutes reflect that a contract was approved through the city of Pearsall. So that's the question that I have. Who signed the contract and who authorized the contract?
Do you have it right there in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Who, well, isn't it signed?
Oh, it's signed, but it's not who authorized it. You know,
Oh,
because
I don't know, that would be a question for your city attorney.
Well, let me clarify. The council approved submitting an application. I saw that.
Right, because there was a council resolution is required as part of the application
The
process.
council approved creating a Main Street director, okay? The council approved the budget for the program. Part of the budget was the annual contract, which was discussed with the council, okay? Signing the actual contract was an administrative function, which the city manager did. Implementing the policy that was already established by the budget, by the city council, so it was more of an administrative function that we didn't have to vote on, because we've already approved everything.
Well, and that's completely a local, we do not get into local government control. That is a, whatever you have authorized your city manager to administratively do. Every city is different. And so if your city manager at that time had the administrative authority to sign contracts, and he did, then that would be, but I don't, this is the city attorney, right?
Yes.
That's a city attorney question, not a Texas Main Street question.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had mentioned, if I may, Mayor, you had mentioned it's a question for the city attorney. My response to you would be, it's a question for the city attorney if the city attorney was aware of the contract. So, and then, in that case, it would be. As Councilman Segovia had indicated, if the city attorney, being myself, if I'm not aware of the contract, then the question wouldn't be directed towards me, but it would be directed back towards staff.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't answer that because we don't get into local government, how your city processes and procedures work in a city. We have 90 cities and they're all different. So if it was signed by the city manager at that time, I would assume he had the authority to sign it.
Well,
We assume when we get a contract that whoever's signing it has the authority to sign contracts.
and the reason I say that is because we're homebrew charter, we're not general law. Homebrew charter, we're binded by certain rules, and some of the rules that we have in the homebrew charter is that the city manager does not have the capability to be binding the city of Pearsall in any contract without the authorization of the city council. And that's my question, is that up till now, I still have not seen paperwork where the city council approved the city manager to bind a contract. You know, there might be resolutions or ordinances, but I'm talking about signing a contract. Okay, and I guess that's a question for Bobby. You know, Bobby, I have 2 signed contracts here. Are they valid?
Well, the contracts have the city manager's signature, but what it goes back to, and Ms. Drescher, you know, it's perfectly fair for you to assume that if you get a contract back in your office, that it was properly executed. And that would be a fair assumption. But what would come back, it's a simple, is that did the council authorize the city manager to sign the contracts? Did the council approve the contracts? That should be a matter of public record. So there should be, you know, it should be a simple question to answer. That is, the contract should be on the agenda for approval, and the council would entertain that item and then approve entering into the contract. What I was provided was a copy of the resolution. And you're familiar with the resolution.
They're required as part of the application.
Exactly. So the resolution addresses, of course, that the city is applying for participation. Right. The city is agreeing to budget and staff the required position. And then the city is also agreeing to have the city manager supervise and oversee the Main Street project manager. But that's the content of the resolution. There's no mention of the contract in the resolution.
Right, because we don't know whether you're going to become a Main Street city
Exactly,
yet
because
when you
the-
do the resolution.
Because the
Correct.
resolution
Right.
says we're authorizing the application for
Exactly.
the participation in it.
And the agreement to fund it, should it be a successful application.
Exactly. So I
Yes.
think what Councilman Segovia is referring to is that he's looking for the nexus between the adoption of that resolution and ultimately the council approving those contracts, which is, you know, something, of course, that's not before your office other than receiving the contract. The budget that you're referring to, and what the mayor referred to as the budget containing the allotment of the resources, I haven't seen the budget, so I can't tell you, or the council or public, whether the budget, you know, contained any verbiage or authorization when adopted by council to authorize the city manager to sign the contract. I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you. But if there's nothing other than that, I mean, we just have to look at what the record indicates that the council did, which is, did the contracts come before council for approval? And then did the council then direct the city manager as required by charter to sign the contracts on their behalf? Because what Councilman Segovia is talking about is the charter says that all contracts have to be signed by the city manager. And they have to be attested to by the city clerk, all contracts. But then the charter is very clear in saying that the city manager is only authorized to do so after council adopts a resolution, ordinance, or motion that gives him that authority. So it's got to come before council. Then council must authorize city manager to execute. And then that makes sure that there's a public record
Exactly.
of everything that's been done. So.
And that's where we don't get into it, because you're just simply, the only time we return a contract is when, in some cases, like a Main Street manager will not think and will sign the contract. We know that Main Street managers are not authorized to sign a contract on behalf of their city. So we'll send it back in. But when we receive contracts signed by the mayor or by the city manager, we will fully assume that it has been locally, and we don't have the capacity to, nor would we be expected to. So I can't answer that question.
He answered it.
Right, yeah.
And like I said, there's two contracts here. One was, I guess, when the program was created back in
Yes.
March.
It's an annual contract. So
Yeah,
yes.
that one. And then also, it was signed in May 15, 2018. And then just recently, this past March, he signed another one.
Right.
And that one was pretty easy to find because it just happened a couple of months ago. Not even that one is here. See, and that's the problem I have with this contract. It should be null and void. It's not I'm very sorry with the program. You know, it's not an active program because, you know, we don't have a contract. You know, it's not an active contract because it was not brought before city council the right way.
Well, I think that's for you all.
Yes, sir. No, yeah,
Yeah.
the city attorney already answered. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say a comment. I know how everybody's very passionate about it. I am as well. However, in the last 2 years, we spent over $100,000 per year to fund a program, to have a full-time manager there, and what have you. However, we've run into a lot of obstacles. I mean, we want the program to go. We want to revitalize downtown. However, we have a lot of problems with our infrastructure. We have 2 water wells that are gone out. You know, I'd rather have fresh drinking water than the May Street program at this point, to be quite honest with you. Now, if there's any way we could put the Main Street program at a standstill until we can get back on our feet to fix our water wells, fix our infrastructures. I don't know if that would be even an option if your board would even consider something to that effect.
Well, we do have some alternative participation models that include a 1-year probation. However, your initial commitment was for 3 years, so you haven't completed your 3 years, so going into that alternative probation model probably wouldn't be accepted at our level.
However, I do believe that these were unforeseen things that came up that are hindering us to fund this type of program. Like I said, in the past 2 years, we spent over $200,000, and in hopes of getting a $250,000 grant, it just doesn't jive, you know. It just doesn't match, you know. And then the facade programs, the citizens actually have forked up the funds for the facade. It wasn't actually the Main Street program. Yes, she administered the program, but it wasn't actually coming out of the Main Street program. It was actually something that was enacted by the council to go ahead and start revitalizing little by little, you know, business by business, you know. So, I mean, like I said, right now, I believe we are in dire straits because we need to fix what we need to fix at this time. One of the main issues that the citizens have come to me is streets, the water, safety, you know, and I think those are more important. Those are the essential basics of a city in order for the city to operate, you know. This is, I honestly believe is somewhat as a luxury at this point, you know. We need our basic necessities, our basic services that we had to cut back. Now we have a little bit, but still there's other foreseen things that are popping up every day, you know. And like I said, I mean, I don't know if your board would even consider, you know, even if we were to go on a probationary period. However, I know we cannot afford $100,000 to fund a program. You know, I'd rather invest $100,000 in a water wall. Excuse me.
Can you say $100,000? Can you break it down so we can understand where the
yes
where the $100,000 is coming from?
It was over $50,000 for payroll.
Okay.
And it's in your budget, Ms.
Okay.
Mayor.
No, not just the citizen wants. That's why he's standing. They want to know where the money.
Yeah. Well, it's in the budget. Is there something you can present the public to the gallery?
Do you have something?
Yeah.
Again, this is just the budgeted number, it's not actual, so it's just, she's just gonna refer to the budget amount.
If you want to do the actual to date, what we've spent, we should have the actual to date.
I mean, on salary.
On salary, I think it's 50,000.
Salary is 50,000 alone.
Well, and I think, I can't get into.
No, of course. But what I'm saying, what I'm saying is there any alternatives to the program? I mean, I mean, you know, I know it's beneficial, you know. However, at this point, I just don't.
Well, I mean, all I can really do is present you the information on, you know, that we have, you know, many cities that have stuck with it for many years. We do have an alternative probation model. However, we have so few cities that don't make it through their first 3 years when they're laying their foundation for the program that I don't think probation would probably be accepted at our level. I mean, we have to go through more, but we do have that alternative probation model but I wouldn't have high hopes that it would be successful at our end. But again, I can't get into whatever you need to discuss at the local level. All I can do is present you the facts.
I'll give you just again the budget right now. It's for personnel again. This is a lot of is payroll pretty much. It's $48,285. Supplies is $12,000. Now supplies we're referring to office supplies and other things that we do for the Main Street. It's $12,000, $250. Services. The biggest expense on that is the downtown grant. The matching grant is $20,000, but overall that is $42,350. You have maintenance of $1,000, and again I'm breaking them down not line item by line item, but by fund, and then you have the capital of $1,500. All in all, I think it's a budget of let me see.
One thing that I will say while he's looking for that number too is we do require staffing. We don't necessarily, although we strongly encourage having a facade program in place, it's not a requirement to maintain your designation.
What's not a requirement? The facade program?
Yes. We do require that you have staff. After the first 3 years, staff can have split duties, like they could. We have some in our smaller cities, like where they're the economic development assistant or coordinator as well, assisting the economic development program. So we do require staffing because it is a full-time job to revitalize downtown, but we don't necessarily require that you have an incentive program in place, although almost everybody does. But if you're looking at it from a purely numbers and you're trying to do away with something to make ends meet, I mean, I'm not trying to make your decisions for you.
Did you say after year 3 or during year 3 we could have other options as far as?
That might be something that we could talk about. Normally in the contract, it's full-time Main Street only downtown for the first 3 years because you're laying your foundation so that you can get to be a 21-year program or, you know, like some of those others. But we might be able to talk about that. Splitting the position if you have something else that somebody needs.
However, if we cut the facade program, I mean, I think that's where with the business owners are getting on board with this because of the facade program, you know. And so if we, I mean.
Well, and we could work with you also on looking at other funding sources, like I talked about with the spreadsheet that I had sent you, where the different funding sources for Main Street that come out of like economic development, sales tax dollars. So it's your people traveling I-35 that are paying it more than your general fund. Those are possibilities as well.
If you could possibly share that with us, you know, send it to the general email so we could.
I could share this with you. There is no. We don't have an EDC here, so there's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yes, there's no economic development program here. So all you have is sales tax, hotel occupancy tax. So you could. What I was asking her if you could fund some of this with hotel occupancy tax.
Yeah.
So that was my question. So overall, the budget for it is $105,385.
I just want to raise a point of parliamentary procedure. This lady was nice enough to come down to explain her program. She should be trying to answer our budget shortfall. The council is the group that pursued Main Street. Main Street didn't pursue the council. This lady has nothing to do with it. Our water well problems, our paving problems, whether the contract is signed right, all of that. It's not being fair to her as a presenter. She should explain the program. The matching grant thing was something that the city council came up with, X number of dollars, so that there would be so many people that could do it. If that's too much, back off of it. You can do one a year, you don't have to do 4 or 5 a year. But don't take that on her. She's here out of the kindness of her heart, I'm going to say, to explain the program. So all that other stuff is internal. Has nothing to do with her.
Maybe
in my opinion.
Well, I'd like to address them. The only reason I brought that up, our shortfalls, was because I want the people in the gallery to understand our position as well. You know, do we cut the water? Do we cut safety? Or what do we do? You know, that's my position, and it can nothing have to do with you. I love the program. There's a lot of benefit to it. However, like I said, of course, that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with our shortfalls.
Well, maybe what I might suggest doing is...
all I was suggesting, if there was any other alternatives, that's all I was asking.
Maybe what I might suggest doing is working with you, perhaps to look for a solution. That is a restructuring of what you're doing now. But
yeah. I just wanted to say that maybe there should be another meeting. I'm new. I mean, I was raised in Pearsall, left, came back 2.5 years ago. So I'm trying to get involved because I think the Main Street program sounds really awesome. And downtown Pearsall looks the same as when I lived when I was 18. Honest. A few things have changed, but we need so many things. We got to give our kids jobs. I didn't know how bad the drug problem was in Pearsall. If I would have known, I probably would have never moved back. You know, and we need something where people, you know, we have something for the children, something for our teenagers, instead of seeing them walk down the street and they're really high and you're worried about your own safety. You know, I see this every day down where I live, and you know, it's a scary situation. I live in San Antonio. I didn't worry as much as I do in Pearsall, which is crazy. But we, you know, and then the first thing too, another thing is that, like, if you want to discuss all those things, I'm new to this, set up another meeting just for that. Like the gentleman said, this lady's here to present. And then, you know, another meeting for all those expenses and what's more important, what takes priority, I think would be a good, thing to inform. And then about, where can we get more money? Can we do fundraisers? I have no clue. But there has to be other ways. And if it's our taxes, well, let it be our taxes. At least we know that it's gonna go into something for our future. And I think that's very well said.
Well, again, I think the most, and I do have to drive back to Austin, so
Yes,
I
be
probably
careful.
am going to sneak out of here before too long. But I think I can make an offer to you.
Sure.
You have my card in there, in that folder, and to look at possible program restructuring. That's about, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very
So, yeah, I just wanted to say that I got a lot of calls when it came out on the paper. I got a lot of calls. And so I just wanted to thank Ms. Drescher for coming out.
Oh, absolutely.
And I also want, Tiffany, I'm so sorry that the threats or whatever happened. I hope that doesn't hinder your passion for the program, and I hope it continues.
Mayor and Council, I think we've already had our tax as far as our hearings, okay? So I kind of explained where we are in the budget process. We're pretty deep in it as far as completing. But what we can do is, the meeting as far as approving the budget is what day again? The 27th. So there's going to be any changes to anything as far as tax structures, cuts from the program, from any particular fund. In this case, the council is aware that any cuts would have to be made to the general fund, to any other general fund. Now general fund, again, just so the audience will know, general fund includes streets, includes police, and that's your funding source. Your sales tax and your property tax make up your general fund for the most part. So I just want the council to be aware that those, if we do come with an option, I'll have an additional option, but it will be at some, let's say, get some cost to something else. So again, there will have to be that balance in order for us to balance the budget. So I just want to make sure the council is aware of that. Any questions?
Any other comments on Main Street before we move forward? Alrighty. Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you. Alrighty, 6B, discuss and consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate jail contract with Brea County. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Mayor and Council, this item is something we've been discussing as far as. I'll wait for that. We're ready now? Great. This item we've been discussing to some extent as far as what we can try to figure out as far as our current contract. If you look at your packet, you'll see beginning on page 5 is our existing contract with the county as far as their jail and what we're required as a city to I guess, work with them as far as payments and things of that sort. And it discusses a whole slew of things. But what I do want the council to discuss tonight, and if there's any questions, it's on page, it begins really on page 9 of the agreement. And it's Roman numeral 7. A lot of the agreement that we were talking about as far as what we'd like to renegotiate is that Roman numeral. And what it discusses is what the city's responsible and the county's responsible as far as inmates. As the council's aware, we have received some significant medical bills for inmates. And again, this is all it's pretty significant. We've had several, I think dollar amount was over $20,000 the past few months. So what I would like to do is to move forward to renegotiate a good part of Roman numeral 7. And just to add, I have spoken to the county judge, and we've discussed some things as far as what we could do to make this agreement, I guess, more suitable for the city and the county. I've also spoken to the hospital administrator and asked for his assistance. So the next couple of months, what I'd like to do is discuss these terms with them to see what we could figure out as far as our medical bills. So I would like the council's consent and permission to move forward with the renegotiation. If we can't negotiate, come to some agreement, then we'd come back. I'd come back and see what other alternatives we have as far as with the jail. I think the part of the agreement always says that we have until December the 1st to bring concerns and complaints to, or concerns to the county judge, and so that's what I intend to do is in the next couple of months is discuss this with the judge and see what alternatives we have. Again, primarily for the medical bills, but there's other items as well that we want to make sure that we address. The chief is probably just as knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than me as it comes to dealing with inmates and incarcerations and medical bills. So if you have any questions, you can refer to me or to the chief. Any questions on this agreement?
I think if there's no questions, can we discuss this already?
Yep. I'd like to make a motion if there's no questions. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to authorize the city manager and the city attorney to go ahead and draft, renegotiate the jail contract with Frio County.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Motion carries unanimously. Righty. Item 6C, discussion and consider authorizing the city manager and the city attorney to draft rules of decorum for city council meeting. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Mayor and council, at the last council meeting, I want to say the last council meeting or the meeting before, I was asked to move forward with creating rules of decorum for the council. What I put before you is this, again, is a sample of rules of decorum. It's not our rules in per se, but I would like the council to review that and make sure that I understand what the direction is as far as the council. I think what the sample I gave you is a pretty good one, but I would like to hear feedback from the council in the next month or two to make any modifications and changes to these rules of decorum. Again, these are not our rules of decorum, so I wanted to make sure that was clear. And where I would ask the council to focus on, I believe begins on page, if you look at your packet, I think there's rules of decorum. I want to say they begin on page 26, if I'm not mistaken. No, excuse me, page 27. Page 27 of your packet there. It discusses decorum, the mayor's responsibilities, the council responsibilities. And again, this will come back to the council in the form of I would assume a resolution or an ordinance, Bobby, correct me there, but it would be one or the other. So we would come back to the council on that. And then the citizens' participation, it references that. If you go down further, on page 30, it talks about staff relations and council and media relations. And I know a lot of this is addressed, but in whether it be the charter and other ordinances, I would say that whatever it is we draft will be consistent with the charter and with city ordinance. Meaning, it's not going to be a conflicting thing where we're putting something down and the charter saying another thing. So I just want to make sure.
Are you going to put in the new House bill in regards to the citizens that speak as well?
I believe you have, do you have existing rules of decorum for citizen comment? What the House bill did was...
Because the House bill now...
If you want it in, we can certainly add it.
I think it'd be a good idea.
We could put that in there.
Some kind of rules of engagement as well. I mean,
sure,
for the citizens
to share with the public for citizens' comments.
And that's all. Again, there's council and media relations as part of this, and then there's also citizen participation. I think it references on page 29.
Right, but I was referring to the House bill that passed, that,
How they're able to talk to the council, how they present themselves to
Yes.
the council.
Every item. Every item.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
every item, no personal tax.
Did you send me a copy?
I did. What, did you get the packet?
No. I
Doesn't get-
I don't get a packet. I used to get board book.
I think it goes into effect September 1st.
I used to always use board book, but
I used to have a computer.
What's, I don't get a packet.
I didn't know you had, I didn't know you didn't get a packet. I'm sorry. I was unaware that you, my mistake. I thought you were prepared, and I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I didn't know
I appreciate that.
that. Anyway, that's the only thing I have, Council. I'm sorry. I don't have anything else, but that, again, I would like to move forward with this with the council's permission and bring it back. And I don't know, Councilman Segovia, you have a question?
Yeah, is this the one where Councilman Hernandez made a comment the other day that we gotta respect the council's decisions? Is this part of it?
I think that's part of the discussion, yes.
Well, see, and that's where I have a problem, because we're going backwards, because, you know, this Main Street, we already voted on it. And now they're asking to put it back on the agenda. See, and that's why I don't understand. You know, I mean, we vote on something and then they want to bring it back.
We didn't vote on.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. We
The
budgeted the budget.
The budget. You cut the budget.
No, I know that you didn't, that wasn't an actual.
Yes, it
We voted on the whole
Vote during
proposed
the
budget.
Proposed budget.
Workshop.
was. Yes, we did.
We voted on the budget, and budget including prioritizing our needs.
Prioritizing, yeah.
Prioritizing our needs, and based on what we need, we felt as a council need to be addressed with the amount of money that we have.
Yeah, because we included all the cuts, because there's
And we included all
not,
the
Main
cuts
Street's not the only cut.
in that budget.
Yeah, the library.
There's other departments taking that hit.
No, because the proposed budget needs to be filed, available for public inspection. That's the proposed budget that you conduct the public hearings on. Granted, and that you base your tax rate on. You're able to make changes between now and final adoption, but you did vote and approve your proposed budget for the coming fiscal year.
Thank you.
But you still can make changes.
Yes.
Well, you can make changes anytime.
Anytime.
Even after the budget. you
Yeah.
can do an
It's
amendment.
amendment.
Raise taxes.
You can still make changes, but you're going to be rather
Yeah.
stuck with respect to your tax rate. So your changes are going to have to reflect either,
Making more cuts?
new money or new cuts or a combination of the two.
We can't make new money, sorry, there's no new money.
Yeah, but
We've got a machine back there, don't we?
the only concern I had was what Councilman Hernandez said, that we gotta respect the council's decision.
I'd like to make a motion. If there's no more questions or discussion, I'd like to make a motion, please.
Second?
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and authorize the city manager and the city attorney to draft rules of decorum for the city council meetings.
Have a second, please? Second. All in favor? Motion carries.
Against, I'm against.
There's
6-1.
motion carries 6-1. All righty, we moving on to item 6D, discuss status of 2016 bond project, available funding for future project. Action item. Is this discussion or action?
This is just a discussion. I didn't, yes.
So this is discussion made for.
If Rick can get up here, he's going to try to discuss some, Mayor, when council, again, what we want to discuss was just where we are with the 2016 bond projects, and some of the council members are aware.
Excuse me, do you have the list of all the outstanding and where we're at on the percentages?
As far as the completion of projects, is that?
Projects that are still outstanding and what kind of percentages that we're at. I didn't receive no documentation regarding that.
And again, these are just discussion. It's a discussion because there is quite a bit of information here to absorb, and I'm sorry I didn't get these to you. Some of these things, as far as, again, Rick will touch on some of this, some of the work that was done, but there are some things that as a council, we need to move forward with as far as projects, and I'll discuss some other things as well, if that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, we have a number of projects that have been completed, mostly all the projects that have been completed, which is the gas line project, refreshment, gas line refreshment project, the wastewater treatment plant project has been completed. The UV system has been completed. Street and utility improvement projects, all the streets that were taken care of with all the sewer, gas, and whatever was underneath, that's been completed. Some equipment was purchased for that also.
Let me ask questions along the way. Sure. Let's go back to the gas project, if we can. What percentage of that project was, what percentage of our gas?
We get approximately 18,000 linear feet. Percentage, I don't have those numbers. I wasn't ready to answer all the questions as far as percentages and stuff like that. I did approximately 18,000 linear feet.
Can you give the budget amount? That may be a better question, is the budget amount that the council set aside? And I wanted to make sure, that we're going to try to tackle this as a combination, but the budgeted amount was what Joe Seek, again, some of this is.
There's the total amount. We had identified an estimated budget of $760,000. We've completed with the Brush Country Energy. There was year-to-date $552,000. I also identified each project, each street, square footage, lender, each on there, so you can see how much of the gas line project is stretched and what streets it identified. We also have the Battle gas line project, and I also, it was budgeted at $474,000. We contracted it. We did a change order and went down to $407,000 what we paid year to date. There's also, it identifies the lines of service connected and then the linear fee, as well as the square yard of repair of the streets, the streets identified on it. We also completed the Berry Ranch Road, Pecan Street, the gas line on Pecan Street, and then there was a gas leak at McDonald's.
At McDonald's, yeah.
That we ended up pulling out the bond. And then on the next page, there was a gas heat-up processor that we ended up purchasing. It was $3,000. So the total amount that we spent on our gas project, $789,000. And that was everything that was included.
And we were in the right 29,000?
29,000, because the estimated budgeted at the probable cost was $750,000. So we added more because we were down on our Battle. It was $474,000, but we paid $407. So that's when we started adding.
We had a cost savings.
We did the Berry Ranch Road, Pecan Street, and then the McDonald's gas leak.
Yes. Okay. What I'm referring to is when you all came before us with this 2016 certificate of obligation bonds money, and your proposal at the time, or your study, indicated that we had a lot of needs as far as gas is concerned.
We still have a lot of needs.
And I understand that, and that's what I'm referring to, is because we've been told over and over again that we were at 70% completion, or we had done 70% of all that needs to be done.
So we still have 30% that needs to be completed. So, I mean, we completed whatever amount that, I would have to go back and check, but we do have, we did
because
a significant amount of gas lines. Right. And now, mind you, all these gas lines that we did were the most critical ones that the Railroad Commission had been looking at, and really can attest. These are the main ones that we put together. Anybody that would know the gas would be Rudy. So these are the main ones that they've been having problems with. That are steel pipes that they have leaks over and over. And with us doing all these gas lines, we probably saved, quite a bit of money on all the gas leaks that we had. Now we have a profit in your gas budget. But before, with all the leaks, you were losing money. Now you're making money. So this was a big plus, and we are way ahead of the with the railroad commission as far as what needs to be fixed. Because you have to fix X amount replace X amount of linear feet per year. We exceeded that for the next 2-3 years. Yes, ma'am.
You done, Judy? Getting better? On the salary, on your projected salary, you have $154,000 that we're gonna pay you for the improvement projects. And then $80,000 for the sewer line crossing, $420,000 for the street and utility improvement project, and gas line, $52,000. Okay, that's on the cost. What I would like, and I don't know if you're able to do it, is break it down how you propose that amount with, and how y'all go about it with the delays when the projects are not complete. Do we pay y'all over that?
Or you don't pay us anything.
Okay, so what I would like, I want to break down, that's close to, it's $706,000 that we're going to pay you in 1 year. So I would like a breakdown on how we got that amount, please.
I've got a question. On this report, Josie? This report says we have 1 point something. This report says we have 700.
That's what, your report is not going to include, this is encumbered in ongoing projects. So that's true for your cash balance, and then this is going to be what's encumbered as well. So there's two different numbers, because we have a new project.
Okay, is the 1581 project on here as well?
It's on the last page.
On this?
It's highlighted, it's the highlighted portion right there. 450 for the drainage project, and then we have to identify the LED project for their task order, 62,000. So the remainder of that will be 105,000 is all we have left.
Is that?
Bond.
1 second. I've got a question. We approved this way back, months, 6 months, 7 months back, 8 months back, maybe, and it still hasn't been.
Okay, the issue with the drainage project, we're about 50% complete, is we've talked about this, we can't proceed to get all the exact settings for our engineers to finish them, because if you look, if you ever drive by the sewer plant, where the bridge is at, that's outfall. So the water should be running, the outfall from the sewer plant, that's the clean water that's supposed to be going down the creek, down, west on 1581. It's completely, well, not completely, it's still running slowly, but the county part of it, it's full of grass and trees and debris, that it's pushing this water back. If you see all the green grass that's going almost halfway to the baseball park, we can't get to it, and we had already talked to the county. They said they would do it, and they still haven't done anything. So we're going to propose to talk to them again how soon they can get it done, because we can't get it done.
However, by the time you get to that point, I mean, we can have talks. I mean, we're talking about months from now. I mean, you could have started at Pies Court and start working that way. I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, do we need to find somebody else to get our
That's not the point. The point is that you're supposed to start from that end. You can't start from the highest point to the lowest point. You gotta,
so the county's holding this hostage now? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I've been saying all along.
We can't fix it if the county's not willing to work with us. We can't go forward.
We don't have the equipment.
But I know, but if we're able to find monies or figure out how we can go about, because it's nothing's getting accomplished, because I've heard this before, and I'm not saying it's your fault or the county's fault. We gotta quit doing the blaming game. Can we fix it or not? And we got to move forward.
We can fix it.
We're paying y'all a lot of money.
We can come up with the money to do this. We can fix it. We can get a contract.
Because we're budgeting every year the same projects for the last 10 years, almost. The same projects.
This is a project.
Okay, but we're, everything, I'm I'm going by whatever's on here. This particular thing is a new project. But budgeting it every year and still saying county's not working with us, county doesn't have to work with us. So what we have to do what the city can do. And we've got to go forward because
I totally agree.
we just gotta move forward.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The city manager has something to say.
Mayor, council, we can address this with, I didn't talk to the county judge about this, but we can do this, even if we have some sort of consent from them. And I'm asking the council to move forward, to go ahead and clean out whatever it is we need to clean out. When he mentions he's 50% through with the design. So what he's saying is he needs to have all this cleared out in order for them to complete their design.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we go ahead and move forward. I haven't brought this before the council, even the judge, to move forward and clean out whatever it is we need to clean out, whether it's the city side or the county side, that we can complete the design to get them to do whatever it is they need to do.
I think, I think that if we go back to the county, I'm pretty sure they'd be willing to help us out again. But it's gonna go back to that Roosevelt Street. It's gonna take up a year for them to come and help us out, okay, on that project. So can you imagine what they're gonna do over here? And I guess Councilman Barrios.
Do we use, we have $105,000 left over there, do we use that and go out for bids for a contractor to come in? That's what you address it to us and we'll do it.
On the county's?
It's county property.
How many times has LMB gone to the county on this project since we first discussed it about 8 months ago?
We started about 6 months ago, or 5 or 6 months ago. We've talked to him 3 times.
When was the last time you talked?
I talked to him about 2 months ago. And we were sitting in the office and he said he would address it, and he hasn't addressed it yet. And we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, that we need to address it again. So I don't know when we're gonna find, I'm talking to Mr. Reyes, but we're gonna attempt again.
Yes.
Put it on the agenda. What we wanted to do is put it on the agenda so we can talk to them in front of all the commissioners.
Okay, when you say he's supposed to talk about Mr. Reyes? Who's supposed to talk to him? Or who have you talked to?
We talked to him ourselves. It was myself and Mr. Jackson.
Oh.
No, I think the question was, have you talked to somebody from the county?
Yeah, the county.
In 6 months that this project's going on?
Yes.
Who have you talked to from the county?
Mr. Luna.
Oh.
Just Luna, yeah.
Okay.
Just Luna. So now we're going to attempt to try to be put on the agenda to go up to commissioner's court so we can get it done.
Okay.
So, I mean, if that's what we have to do, that's what we'll do.
What we can do is, I think this would be fair to do, is get an estimate of a cost estimate of what it would cost to do that work and then move forward. Because I mean, again, I think the design has to get done and we have to move forward with the project. The council authorized to move forward with the project itself years back, I guess, as far as the design and construction. So we just got to do what we have to do to get it done.
What I was going to propose is with that money, that's $105,000, we still have to do the wells, but if y'all want to proceed and do the clearing, and we can proceed to do the clearing. But it's up to you guys, whatever y'all want to do with that money.
Since it's been brought up, and you said you've met with Judge Luna, you've never asked to be placed on the agenda for it?
Well, no, because he had agreed to it. Well, he had agreed to it, and he said it would get taken care of, but apparently it hasn't been done. So now the next step is to go and talk to them.
Okay. Yes.
Just a quick comment on that. When we discussed this, it was understood by this council then, that you all were going to get placed on that agenda. And that's what we were led to believe. We have not heard anything since then.
Well, we thought we could cut to the red tape. He talked directly to Mr. Luna, and it didn't happen.
I understand that, sir. You led us to believe that you are going to be placed on the agenda to get things done. My recommendation is that we do need to move forward swiftly so we can get things done.
And we will. We'll make arrangements to be put on board with the commissioners.
Agenda.
The 105 that you're referring to, are these 105 here after?
That's the total money that's going to be left over that's on everything else that had been encumbered.
Because the encumbrance includes the design and the construction of the.
And then, And
So,
then-
so could we use that for the wells then?
That's what I was gonna propose, if you are looking for extra
You could
projects.
use that for the well. Now, understand you have one project that I brought you before you. You have another well that's down, which is, the estimate on that is over $100,000 as well. So you have one well that we need to get up and going, which is the one you have for tonight. And then you have another well that, again, just to Band-Aid that, and I'm saying this with some reservation, but just to put a Band-Aid on that is gonna cost you about $100,000. You have, again, and part of the discussion tonight is just to let the council know, these are the things that we've identified, at least so far, and these are the things that hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months, maybe a year, we can start working towards making sure that we address some of these things, because they do need to be addressed. And we've talked about drilling a new well. I think that the well that's currently at Cherry is over 50 years old, give or take. So it's time for, I say it's time for a new one. I'm not an expert when it comes to well drilling, but it's still the time as far as 50 years, so there's gonna have to be some.
Have you gotten an estimate on that? We drilled a new one?
What I've heard, again, I don't have a one in front of me, but I've heard anywhere from $700,000 to $1 million.
Yeah, that's what our last one cost us, was about $890,000.
Yes, so it'll
It
be.
all depends how deep we have to go. Now, I haven't been involved with the new wells that are down right now, but I know Mr. Edwin very well from Peerless. I can talk to him, and you're going to do both of them. If you decide to do both of them and you want to use those $105,000, to come down and talk to us and see if we can rework the figures and bring down the prices. Save some money.
One for bid. I have a question. What I just heard from Councilman Hernandez is that you are 50% into the design
The design.
of the fix.
To the design.
Okay,
Get
but of the
plans
fix,
ready. Yeah.
but the plans of the fix.
Yes.
How long has that design been in the works?
And the work's only been in there for like 3 months. We had other stuff that we were working on.
Okay, when they said the council approved this a long time ago?
5 or 6 months ago.
Okay. And how much have we paid y'all so far for that 50%
Yeah, you know how much it's been?
design?
On the fees?
How much do we pay the fees for them, for their design?
For the drainage, is it 50%?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 30,000.
Okay, so we pay you,
Based on,
even though the design is not complete, we pay you according to what y'all have done already.
Yes, ma'am.
So right now, y'all have done 50% of the design, and it's cost us $28,000. How much longer are you gonna need to complete that design? And when you do complete the design, what is the total amount just for the plan that you're charging us to fix this fix? Because we only have $105,000 on there.
It's 62,000.
62,000, okay.
That's 105,000 that's separate. That's what's left over after we complete. If that drainage comes in at 450,000 exactly, or if it comes under, then you have more money left over.
Okay, so that drain is, it's approximately gonna cost us $450,000.
We budgeted $450,000 for construction, and that's only gonna be to how far it takes us, the linear feet, that's as far as it takes us, it takes us.
And the 62,000 is what we're paying you for the plan,
For the design.
for the
yes.
design. Okay, you want me to call it design or plan?
No, for the design.
Okay, so right now, year to date is 28,000 that we paid out?
Yes.
For 50% of the design.
If I'm not mistaken, this way.
Thank you.
So you just mentioned something that I had not heard before, which is the $450,000 is you're gonna do the project or take the project as far as that $450,000 will take us.
That's what was discussed, and that's what was approved.
That's not what we understood. We understood that the project was gonna go all the way out there. That's why we're waiting for the county to clean up
What
there.
we need to, what we need to do is we need to do the design for the entire thing. For the entire thing. That is going to be done from all the way from the bridge, all the way back to Mount. So we're going to use the construction money to complete as much concrete as we can put in there. And then when we come up with more money, because we knew there was gonna be, it's gonna be over $1 million or more to do the whole thing at one time, we didn't have the money. So we're using $450,000, you guys were aware of this, that we're gonna go as far as it took us.
So on that end, you have under the $500,000 for construction.
And I believe it's in the minutes, we can check the minutes.
But it is, what he's saying, basically the council's aware, they're gonna do the entire design, and then as we come up with additional dollars to do the entire, and what we could do on this is when they go out for bid, they can bid it, and I don't know if you could bid the entire thing amount, bid the entire project out, and then just take whatever it is we can do as far as the actual construction.
We can do alternate bids in 3 phases or 4 phases. As you're coming up with, if you can have another 100,000, you want to do a little bit more, we'll do a little bit more. You know, but at least we'll have a design. It's having all the exact flow for it.
Rick, tell me again also, please, why is it that you cannot start at price out?
Because we start from the low end. Because what we're going, and then there's a break over here, and because it's muddy, we can't get the exact measurements of on the elevations. We can't get the right elevation. We're gonna have a bus. We're gonna, it could be a difference. You know, we have to be able to get our elevation from the bottom. So
even though it's running down.
Yeah. We have to make sure it's coming the right way. Because if we don't hit the right elevations, then we have a hole, and we're doing the same thing that we're doing now. We're holding the water that we're not supposed to be holding.
I think out of this, council, again, just to read, there are some good things out of it, and again, I know that Rick wants to touch on that. I just wanted to make sure that you were also aware of some of the things that we still have to work on.
So, well, from here, we've completed, how much have we spent? Over 7 million, right? Yeah, about 7 million. So we, like we said, we have the building under construction, the UV is complete.
Sure.
So
The building under construction.
The annexure.
But that has nothing to do with the
I understand, but you want to know what's under construction. So the building's under construction. So the UVs is already complete. The only thing we have left is actually the UV, we're waiting 2 more weeks for it to be 30 days so we can certify it. And we haven't paid them until those 30 days. So far, the training is scheduled for the 16th, and then in 2 more weeks, we'll be able to pay them. So we're holding all the money right now. We haven't paid them a dime, right?
I just had a question for Rick. Have you had an opportunity to talk to the county engineer?
Who?
The new county engineer.
I attempted to go meet with her, and she wasn't in, so I finally did it.
I'll get more questions.
Yeah, she apparently, years back, she used to work with us. And she used to work with textiles. Any other questions?
Mayor, Council.
You want to touch on something?
Yes, I do want to touch again on some of this. What the goal is again to highlight the projects that haven't been done. Again, highlight the ones that have been done, but also highlight the ones that haven't been done. The projects as we move forward that we're going to have to look at as far as some sort of a fix, whether it be through another issuance of certificates of obligation or some sort of way of funding mechanism. So with that, couple of things I wanted to point out, and again, right now it's just a discussion because there's no point in acting on anything because we don't have the resources, to be quite frank. But a couple of things I want to mention. There's some, again, we're going to, what I want to do is come back to the council with a list of all the projects that haven't been completed, that we were anticipating to be complete, but that are not because of the lack of funding or whatever the case may be, with the 2016 bonds. And then the other thing is this, is we also have, I included, and again, it's not in your packets, but you also have a couple of things that I attached to that I have there. And I would hope that more citizens would have stuck around for this, because this is where their dollars are going, to be quite frank. You do have a study that was done back in 2012. LMV actually did the study. It's a water model study, okay? And with the water model study, they have, if you look at this on page 3, or excuse me, page 4 of the study, They have their projects that council at the time, my assumption is that they reviewed, whoever was on the council, okay? Anyway, those were the recommendations as far as things to improve our water supply. It's not our water supply, excuse me, our water system. So that's what these water model studies do. But the reason I bring that to your attention is because of all these projects that were on this study, one was done. So that leaves a total of, I don't know how many, 3, 4. The one on, I think, Project F there, which is the Railroad 1581 to I-35 frontage road, that was the one project that was done. Everything else on this is not done. Now, you have an estimate also in your packet, in this packet at the very back there, that includes, again, this is a 2014 estimate, mind you, a little over $1 million for all this work to be done. And now, that may have gone up because of inflation. We haven't made any changes to that. So I just want to make sure the council's aware that these are projects that I'd like to bring back to the council for your consideration with some of the projects that weren't done in because of the 2016 bond. And then the last thing, again, just to add one more thing, is you also have a cost estimate for the annexation that was done back in 2017. You have that also in your packet. I think that was estimate of probable cost came at $2.4 million. So if you add the $2.4 million, add these things from the water model study and some of the projects from the 16 COs that weren't done. Again, I am recommending on that end that we, at the very least, look at them to see what projects we want to fund, hopefully in the next 6 months to a year, to get some of these things done. Because what I don't want to see, and this is what I would recommend to the council, is doing some of it, having information, and this is good information, by the way, water model studies and things done, and then not act on the recommendations. So I wanted to combine everything and let the council know that these are things that, and again, I just look back 7 to 10 years. I'm not looking back 20 years back. These are just things that we need to move on, and they're big, high dollar items, but I just want the council to be aware of it.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Okay, I'm just now seeing this annexation estimate. It's gonna cost us $2,199,000 to annex these properties that we annexed. Okay, so the money that we're anticipating on getting from this annexation, we're just gonna take the money this 1 year and then start giving them their services in the next 3 years. So we'll divide that 2 million up. For the engineering total, okay, it's gonna cost us 2 million.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's gonna cost us 2,199,120 to annex these properties that we annexed. That's to get them up to par with city.
You mean to provide services?
To provide services, okay? We're counting on their money for our taxes, the general fund, but we gotta take into consideration, we're gonna have to divide that amount. What we're paying LNV, besides the 2 million that it's gonna cost us.
That's not 2 million for us. Our engineering subtotal.
I mean, 200, I'm sorry. Besides the 2 million that's gonna cost us for the annexation, we're paying y'all $289,000 to design, to survey, the permit fees, and the construction. Has this been approved by the council already for LNV?
No, this is, they asked for an estimate, and we give them an estimate.
Okay,
So when
this
you look
is
at these
something we have to
numbers-
look at because, let me finish real quick, please. We are relying on this annexation money, the services from these people, to make our budget look good. But we're gonna have to put in 2 million of it. We're gonna have to divide that with whatever time is allowed. So the budget, the money that we're depending on is not gonna look like what we're anticipating. I just want us to look very, very careful on this annexation. It's costing us over $2 million. The bond payment?
When you look at our fees based on a percentage of what scope of work we're doing, and it's always an average of about 12%. So, I mean, when we're going back all the other fees were
Okay.
on the other
And
projects.
the other,
all running
with
together
this
now.
here, we still have to make our bond payment. And our bond payment is not included in this
How much is it,
annexation.
400,000?
Seven something.
700,000?
Yeah, you have your 2012 issuance and the 2012, I think, was all paid through property tax. And 2016 was a combination of property tax and water rates.
And I really think this is what people of the city need to know, and this is what needs to be reported to the paper. This is no politics here, this is numbers. These are numbers that we have to deal with, that we have to base our decisions on when we make cuts, when we cut employees, is we got to take into what is necessary right now. And this is a lot of money.
I'm here to update you.
No, but I'm just, this all goes into place together.
No, it's okay, because I wanted to just let them know that on projects that we're working on, the only last project that we have is the drainage project on the bond money. And then we have a CDBG project that we're waiting to get funded. And then the annexation bill. So we have 3 projects under construction, well, under design and construction.
Well, these are numbers that we base all our decisions on. There's no politics here with numbers.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Of course, I wasn't here 2016, 2012, but I'm quite curious, why wasn't this put on the 2016 bond issue? If they knew we had problems already, why wasn't this included, or
It
some
may
of
have
it?
been included, it just didn't get done.
What are we talking about?
I think the water model study, to be quite frank, I had asked LMV for this copy. It may very well have been that, could have been that priorities changed, could have been that maybe,
I was on
again,
that console, and I can tell you, this, what we did here was put into our bond. Whether they moved it for other reasons, if something came up,
To the 2012 one?
yes.
No.
No.
We worked on the streets and.
No, the 2016. I'm concerned about the 2016.
Okay.
Well, that was never brought up. 2016 bonds, we had all the issues with the gas, with the sewer, with the streets that we need to fix, with the wastewater treatment plant, the UV system that we needed, and all the other issues that we had. So, I mean, unless we're gonna go out for $2 million and $10 million instead of $8 million, which was proposed, but the council chose not to go for the $10 million. They chose to go out only for $8 million.
Okay, but for clarification, we were never presented this study.
There was no room in there. We were already cutting money out.
I'm just saying, we were not presented this study. Had we been presented this study, we may have proceeded it.
Do you know how many studies we've done?
I'm just saying, for clarification purposes, we need information if we're gonna make a long-term decision. This is what it boils down to, is, we wanna leave, when we leave one day, we wanna leave the city in good hands, and we wanna leave our children and their children a place to live, okay? And so we've got to procure, now that we're on the council, for future needs as well.
And I understand, but.
May I finish, please? And this is what we're talking about when we have to sit in these chairs and make decisions. What is priority for the city of Pearsall?
And that's exactly what we did.
We like a lot of things. We want to do a lot of things. We can all get together and clean up the town or whatever. But one of the things that I find striking is that since I retired 6 years ago, I've been volunteering on committees and doing all kinds of volunteer work left and right. And it's very hard to build up volunteer base. It's very hard to get people to help out. And so that's a big challenge for us as a council. We have to build up our human assets as well. We can't just rely on money and things to get done just because we want it done. There are lots of things that go into play here. And so I'm not trying to downplay anything that you've told us or anything like that. I'm just saying the real big picture of things is that we have not been presented with all information, and I don't think our community understands the severity of things at times. And we have failed maybe as a city city council to address those things. But so from this point on, I would like to see us get information that we need. And I know that Mr. Reyes has been doing a lot of work with researching contracts and so forth. That's exactly what we need to do. We need to have the information here so we can make some quantified judgment statements and so forth, and be able to make decisions that are going to positively impact the community at large.
Well, you hit it right on the point. It was priority. When it was prioritized, what was going to be on there? That water model wasn't even close to being on the priority list. Not even close. I mean, if we were to put everything that we have out there, we need $20 million. We told you guys, y'all wanted a number on how to fix everything in the city, the water, the sewer, and all the streets and everything, and the gas. And we gave you guys a proposal for $110 million. Where are we going to come up with that kind of
Right.
No,
he's right. You have to be realistic.
We have to prioritize. That's exactly what we did.
I remember that.
I think on that end, be realistic again, but one of the reasons you do a water model study is to identify what problems you could potentially fix. And again, I'm talking $1 million here. When again, it's just improving your water system. It's not fixing everything in your water system. And so that's why I want to make sure at the very least you improve the system.
And to come back and defend Mr. Reyes, there were other improvements that were done that has increased our water pressure, that you don't have the low water pressure that we used to have before, because we used to be like a 20% PSI. I think our average now is, what, 35, 40? 35 to 40, we've doubled it since 2012.
Okay, so that I just want to make a comment. That'll be my final comment on this subject here. Is just that we need to let the people of Pearsall know where we stand and what's really broken and what is really in need right now. All the other stuff that we're doing is very, very helpful to Pearsall, but I believe my priority as a councilwoman is to fix the water. That's something that we put in our bodies and our children put in their bodies. And our streets and especially the sewer. Okay, those are our three major priorities, and I know we can't fix the whole city in 1 year, but we can prioritize and we can put money where money needs to be and not make any political decisions that are political. So that was my comment, that our main focus right now with this new budget coming up is streets, water, and sewer.
I'd like to have a comment as well. That was precisely why I was trying to tell the public, I mean, they just don't understand where we're at this point, and, yeah, downtown is great, but we need water to sustain ourselves, to live, I mean, and that's what I was trying to get at. I wish you would have switched this around so they would understand exactly where we're at and where we're at. It's not that we don't like the program. We love the program. However, there's other things more important at this point. Yes. And that's why I was telling Mr. Dreschner, is there any other options for us at this point, But, I just hope people don't feel I was blowing air,
I understand.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I mean, at the sewer plant, are we going to be okay after the clarifiers, or what do we still need now?
Our UV, and yeah, we're working on getting a proposal. There's one item that I think he said we're going to be around 55.
The two items in the lift station and the
Yes, the lift station and that, yeah, the lift station and clarifier, and that gentleman who's going to give a proposal, he mentioned anywhere between 65 and 7,500 to take care of everything. So then we'll be up and running with the clarifier, and then the lift station, once he cleans up whatever's down there, the debris, then we're going to get new. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, we haven't decided anything, to be honest with you. We haven't discussed it, but there may be additional.
And I'm just helping out with just to get ahead.
And I know you don't like percentages, but will be 100% after we do that?
Well,
for the record?
Yeah, they should. Well, no, not until they get pumps. Not
You gotta get the pumps, you'll see some, yeah, I don't know the cost of the pumps, and I hate to ask.
I don't know exactly.
But we do need it, the sewer plant is in better
It
shape.
is in way better shape.
Yes.
That new UV system is working awesome, so.
We'll come back, like I said, as a staff, and and with the help of LNB and other groups, to come back with some projects to present to the council in the near future.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Item E, discuss and consider traffic study and placement of speed bumps. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Mayor and council, I'm going to defer this to the police chief as far as any discussion. I know he likes that, but anyway, if you have any.
We did complete the study. It is a pretty heavily trafficked street according to our observation period. And there is some commercial vehicles out there also. So I would suggest, I think speed bumps would work. I also think stop signs could possibly work at those intersections. And it's pretty much y'all's preference. And I would say whatever is more cost effective. The only benefit I would see to, if you're gonna do speed bumps, I would say put some speed bumps that are gonna really have to slow you down, not the ones that we can just.
The Marvin Drive speed bumps are good.
Right, like
Yeah.
the Frio Street speed bumps are speed bumps.
Not Frio Street.
Yeah, those are, yeah, so by the complex. Now those, you don't pay attention, you're gonna do some damage. But other than that, I would say stop signs are something that we can actually go out and enforce. If people aren't following the rules, we can actually go out there and write some citations and things like that. So whatever you guys decide, we'll get it done on our end.
Questions?
The one
If
thing,
there's-
sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If there was no discussion, I would like to make a motion. No, you can still talk. I'm not gonna make my motion, but.
And with a lot of these items, what we're asking some of the department heads to do is just to put their recommendation. You have a recommendation, the chief's recommendation there in your packet. And I think he recommended, I don't know if he said this loud enough, but I think he's recommending the stop signs. Maybe did I misread your recommendation,
Well, I would
Chief?
say, I mean, for me, it's whatever's cost effective for the city. I think either option would work. And it's up to you guys.
There's one question.
Well, I know that the water flow down that way, it's pretty heavy, I mean, pretty strong when it rains, and so speed bumps may erode away.
Float away.
Float away.
That is,
But
if
most of the traffic at night is the racers, like we've said before, and I know a stop sign would stop them from racing necessarily.
well, Gross is just a 2-block strip. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have came back.
Yeah, we're just doing Gross Street.
Gross is just a 2-block strip, so, I mean, I think your racers are gonna be on 15, on Oak Street, actually, on Oak Street headed out of town, past the Wishing Well, that area, that's typically where we get our problems.
Actually, they race down Roosevelt.
Well, not only, they're on Bear Ranch.
Bear Ranch Road, they wake me up.
Bear Ranch too, that's, I mean.
Down becomes.
Seriously.
If you guys wanna invest some money, invest in a drag strip here for the kids.
Okay, we're talking about our budget.
I'm joking, but it's a problem, we're aware of it, we're trying, and it's very dangerous. It's dangerous for the innocent public, and it's dangerous for the drivers themselves, and we try to make them aware, but you know, I mean, kids are gonna be kids, and I don't know how they afford those Mustangs, but geez.
Yeah, have good insurance. Insurance. Make a motion?
Yes. Motion is to approve at least one section of speed bumps, with the other one having a 3-way stop, where we don't put the 3-way stop, if that's where we can put the other speed bumps, a couple of feet before the street. And so we'll add a speed bump on one side, and on the other end of the block, put the 3-way stop on Grove Street as soon as possible.
You have Walnut and you have Ash and Walnut.
Yes, whichever one y'all feel that is needed.
Motion on the table, may I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor by show of hand? Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to discuss and consider authorizing the city manager to enter into agreement with Peerless Equipment for the repair of the East Plant water wheel. Any motion to discuss, please?
Motion.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor? Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, on page 37 of your packet, is I provided a memo for the council to consider, again, the repair to this well. I think it's been out, and Rudy, correct me if I'm wrong, how long has the well been down for? So again, we have two, right now we have two wells down, which is a cherry well, cherry plant, and then this well as well. So what the plan is to do is I gave you the lower cost of the two. We know that both are down. We'd like to see we get this repaired. Here, hopefully this week or next week to get that back going. That'll get us back up to 3 wells. You will see probably, we'll get it on the next council meeting, is to go out for a design and specifications for the cherry. I think the cherry well is the repair to that is going to be looking at over $100,000. And again, that's going to be, we anticipate that repair on the cherry well will last us 3 to 5 years. There's no guarantee on this, again, on that repair, but we do need to start looking at a design for the cherry well once we get this.
Quick question. Do we go for RFQs to get an engineering firm for that as well? Can we do that as well?
Oh, for which one?
For the pumps, I mean, for the wells?
For this one here? No, because it's under $50,000, it's a repair that needs to happen relatively quick. There are some provisions in the state statute that allow for us to make the repair.
And how about the one in Cherry Street? Yeah.
That one, I'm recommending at the very least we get assistance with specifications from an architect because we are going to have to make a significant repair. It's going to be over $50,000. So I am asking that we move forward with hiring an engineer to help us with the specifications on that. Again, it's not on this agenda, but it'll be on your next one. And then once the specifications and the packet's prepared for the bid packet's prepared, then we put it out for bid and see what comes our way.
The east plant, is that the one on east Comal?
Comal, I think he confuses me sometimes, but yes, that's the one on Comal.
Across from the tower, right?
Yes.
Didn't that just go up like just a few years ago?
Yes.
How old is it?
It's I think it's 5-6 years, Rudy. Is that what we discussed?
Back in, it's about 5-6 years.
So, and I need to discuss that with LMB because I don't know that as far as like warranties, normally the warranty will be about a year or 2, but we shouldn't have as many problems. And I did mention it to the engineer, some of the problems we've had. I think Rudy referenced, I think the last time we had an issue with it was back in 2018. Is that right? And so we need to make sure that on that end, why it's happening and why we're having repairs or issues, that we address that with LMB and see what we can do to mitigate some of these expenses, because this isn't the first time this well has gone down that I'm aware of. And again, Rudy may have more information.
By my house, we just put it in.
Yes, sir.
So it seems like it's broken.
Yes, sir. So again, on the third page 38, you do have their repair. This really may be a little bit. Can I decipher some of this? What they intend to repair, but anyway, the description is there on page 38 as far as what the repair will entail.
I have one comment there. Sir, going back to the comment of Mr. Hernandez, it seems like that well always keeps on going down. What is the warranty on that? Is it 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year?
Normally, it's and again, I don't know. I need to go back and look at the specifications, and I haven't done that, to be honest with you. I've asked LMB for some information on that. I don't know to answer your question, but normally, again, almost it's 1 to 2 years.
Oh.
But that's just for. I mean, there are different types of warranties that these companies provide, from the manufacturer to the people that are actually doing the work. So there's different warranties, but I would have to do a little more research to determine what the warranty is on those.
Any further discussion?
So, excuse me, so who's going to advocate for that? Are they going to be doing the advocating?
Which
manufacturers? regarding the,
We would need to come back and ask them, I'd have to go and review the warranty. If the warranty's expired, then there's nothing much we can do. But if there's a warranty there, then we, and with the assistance of L&B, would ask them, because they're the ones that actually did the design, and they're the ones that also, so they'd have a part in this as well.
Alrighty. Can you entertain a motion, please, Tom, to address item F?
I make a motion to consider authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Peerless Equipment for the repair of the east plant.
Motion on the table, please.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, unanimously. All right, item G, discussion and possible action regarding the Pearsall Main Street facade improvement matching grant for 118 Oak Street. Entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion. Second.
In favor?
Go ahead.
Council members, I have Ms. Rosalinda Onoto here. She brought the board, the Main Street board, on August 20th, her application, where she's wanting to remove her old commercial door and install a new commercial door. And it's the same frame that's there now. It's a silver frame double door with a 1/4-inch gray timber glass. Somebody, some kids have went and they shot them out. So this is something that she brought to the Main Street board asking to get this replaced. The total cost for the project, where they would, all the work, demolition, putting it in and a whole new door with the labor, would cost $3,312, where if it would be approved, the Main Street, or the actual grant requested is $1,656. If you have any questions, you can hear it.
I have a question for the city attorney. I hate to harp on this again, but since we don't have a legit contract signed and approved by this council, can we act on this still?
Well, the best way I can answer your question is, something that was mentioned was that the budget that was approved by council authorized the approval of the contract. I still haven't seen that. I don't know, I can't answer your question as to whether it would have a valid contract, because I haven't seen the budget that the mayor had indicated authorized, that was approved by council, that authorized entering into the contract.
It's a part of regular budget.
So it was never provided to you?
No, I mean.
No, I think what he's asking is that the approval of the council, because y'all approved the resolution, but we need to see the approval of the minutes that the council allow the city manager to sign the contract.
We're talking about the budget.
I've got a comment. Regarding the facade program, remember, it's only being administered by the Main Street. It's being funded by the general, from the general fund. So she's just administering the program. We're still running the program. It's not, has nothing to do with the Main Street. Now, the reason it's going through the Main Street, because she's administering this, we implored her help to administer the program. However, it's being funded by the general fund. So I don't think we should deny this application. Now, in the future, I think we should. I mean, because we're not going to be funding this program unless we decide just to continue just the facade program on our own. I mean, and that's a different story. But it has nothing to do with the Main Street. At this point, she's just the administrator of that program.
And that contract question still remains unresolved, because I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything about the facade program.
Well, the facade program, I mean, like I said, I don't think it has nothing to do with.
And Mr. Villarreal's right. If it's separate and apart from the Main Street program that council adopted, approved, and is administering through the assistance of the Main Street program director, then it can be considered this evening if it's a separate program that didn't require a contract with the Main Street, people out of Austin. but I'm not aware of that.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the program is being funded by the general fund. We had it set aside on the budget. I believe it was like $20,000 that we had set aside for that particular program. Now the only thing is, she's administering it because, I mean, we assigned that task to her. You know, but as far as the program, that has nothing to do with it.
So if the program is separate completely, if the facade program is separate from Main Street, then it can be considered so long as all of the program requirements are being met. If the program is tied to Main Street and the contract that Councilman Segovia was discussing, that might be a separate question. But that's what also, it helps, it would help. A
distinction, right?
Right, the distinction, but also, you know, I don't get information that I need to help prepare me to answer your questions for council meetings. As it relates to like the packet that you get, I don't get. And the information about Main Street, the resolution, yeah, I've not been provided anything from staff to be prepared to answer your questions about Main Street, the resolution, the contracts, or anything else like that. It puts me at a disadvantage, which doesn't serve you well.
That's the clerk's position.
Pardon me?
That's the clerk's duty. Is not that correct?
If you get a packet, I should get a packet too. If you expect me to be as prepared as you are to answer your questions at a council meeting.
Correct.
I'm going for it, try that one. He used to record
Yes, I'm sorry.
I think because we have acted on facade grants and so forth, based on information we knew, and we were, I was not aware of the situation that had been brought up today about the contract. However, we've already allowed other businesses. We've already done this for other businesses. It was in the budget, and it's for this purpose. So I think trying to stop on anything right now is just not good. I think we need to finish this out and then look at things.
And I can appreciate the discussion. I can also appreciate what Councilman Segovia is saying, which is the starting point should be, was the contract validly approved by council? To answer your question, if the charter says all contracts must be approved by you, the reason for that is very obvious. It's because if you approve all contracts, you know what you're getting, you know what you're approving, and we wouldn't be having any of these discussions because the contracts come before you, and assuming you read them, you prepare for your readings, and you vote on them, then you know what's in everything. So we don't have to have conversations about were the contract validly approved, because the minutes reflect that, the agendas reflect that, you get the contracts in your packets and you vote on them. And this is another one about the facade program, is that it would help to, you know, I get paid a retainer. I've told staff on many occasions, send me everything you want, as often as you want, ask me to come down as often as you want, because that's what you're paying me to do. So there's never a good reason not to send me something so that I can answer your questions as best as possible.
I just have a comment. I'm going to go back to just the comment for the record is I'm one that, going back to contract not being, if it is approved, maybe minutes are not found that it's been approved by the council, because per our charter, council is the only one that can authorize the contract. However, we have given two other companies money, the current and Mr. Barnhart. And since there is money budgeted for that, I want to go on record that I am going to vote yes to this item due to it being done previously, but I will definitely look into this contract being approved by the council for any further applications. And I don't think, as as a council, we should allow any more applications to be accepted until we find out if this contract was approved by the council. Nothing against Main Street, it's just we gotta make sure it's approved, because then it comes back that these contracts are illegal. The monies that we paid out of our general fund is illegal due to the contract not being valid. So on that note, my comment is, for the record, is that I'm gonna go ahead and go yes with this project, because we've already said yes to 2 other businesses. But I want the council to put it on the agenda, Mayor, that we look into that contract, finding the minutes that contract was approved, to accept any other applications.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and.
I'd like to make a comment.
There's
I
a
will
motion
just-
made already.
I'm trying to, nobody recognized me, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I would just like to get a clarification about approving contracts, because I know you approved the proposal for an event coordinator, and a contract was brought in that sort of modifies what everything was being discussed, and yet that contract, I believe, is being moved forward, but did you approve the contract? So you're saying all contracts need to be approved, we're on a timeline, do you need to approve that contract?
The answer to your question is all contracts,
Have to be
period.
approved.
And that contract has not been drafted and it hasn't been approved. But the
Okay.
simple answer is all contracts must be. The charter says by
Has to be.
ordinance, resolution, or motion, so that everyone knows publicly
So
what's
has
being
the check
discussed.
already been cut?
Hold on. Let me the award was made for the contract, okay? Let's be clear that the timeline, and we discussed this, the timeline was short, really short. So there, on my end, I'm saying we awarded, the council was aware of what was gonna happen. Now, if I need to come back and say, well, now we need you to review the contract before a check is cut, then that, on my end, I'm asking for ratification, because on my end, there's a timeline that I have to, and of course, I sent that information. But on my end, there's a timeline that I needed to do. Now, if these things are brought up, there's things that I can share with the council, and I mentioned it to some of the council members. There's things that I'm used to in a contract that historically has never been done. Nothing. There's no protection for city, nothing. And again, on my end, there's a short timeline here of a month and a half. And I know Bobby I've actually sent him the contracts and some of the verbiage on some of this. But again, because of the time constraints, I'm saying the award of the contract was my authorization to do it. Now, whether they say that we have to.
The council approved hiring an event coordinator.
Yes.
And the council approved
The
a
contract.
budget.
Yes.
A budget.
Not to exceed.
Right.
Okay, a budget not to exceed $50,000. As far as I know, the council did not have a contract, and they chose one of the 2 proposals, but those weren't a contract.
And again, on my end, I'll come back with the contract. You have the-
Exactly.
So I will come back, and I'm asking on that end, I had to make some decisions on my end for time's sake, that I had to come back and tell the council, hey, look, I've got to move on this. If it's something to where I have to come back and present the formal contract to them, then I'll do it. But quite frankly, I don't have the resources or the luxury of waiting till the next council meeting to come back to the council for
We
approval.
can just have a special
With
meeting
that,
for that.
Yes, you have to have a special, the contract must be approved
Okay.
by council unless council approves the contract and authorizes you to do this and this and that. When you're talking about $50,000 in public funds, council must approve that contract.
we need to have a budget, then we need to have a meeting tomorrow or whatever.
So we're actually on the facade program, so can.
Yeah, I don't know
make
how
a
that
motion,
was
please,
allowed to
and
be
we
brought
can
up.
just
It
discuss this.
is, and again, on my end, quite frankly, on some of these contracts, in my opinion, and not to take anything away from staff or the council, or even the city attorney, but none of these contracts that we've entertained have any protection from the city, none. And it's disappointing on my end to see that there's been no protection from the city.
Okay, quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Council, Mayor, Council members, good evening. I just want to refer to the facade program, because I remember vividly that lady saying that facade program is not part of, what they require. So I don't think it's in that contract that we're talking about. It's something totally city council decided to do. It's just pretty much like, you know, it will help the Main Street program.
Okay,
But they don't want to do it.
thank you. Ready?
Okay, I can go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and accept the improvement for the facade program for the address on 118 South Oak Street.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Opposed? Opposed?
6-1. So it passes 6-1. Can't see her, but congratulations.
I could have sworn I was authorized to negotiate the contract. Could have sworn that's what we said. The contract still has to come.
Okay. Item 7,
Now it has to come.
staff report monthly.
Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
We have that monthly.
And there wouldn't be a point for me to even negotiate. Why don't you bring it?
Ready? Any reports? Item 7?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, moving on, they have reports. Moving on to item 8.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, report.
There's one item, I'm sorry. There's a gentleman from the Census Bureau that came and spoke to me today. The county's preparing for the 2020 census, and I believe they have a committee, and they've authorized, they're actually asking for the council to get authorization to move forward with somebody to participate in the committee. And it's, again, they're preparing for the 2020 census. They asked me if I was interested. I said, yeah, we could do whoever it takes to. But anyway, they're getting prepared for it. One of the suggestions he made is the city could work alone, or they could work in conjunction with the county. I think it's in my recommendation to the council is that we work with the county. And hopefully, yes, the census is they're getting ready for that.
Is that Rolando Trevino?
No, this guy's Juan Gonzalez. I think he's from Brownsville.
Okay. Rolando did a report at the county about the census.
Yes.
I have a quick question on the activity reports. It says here that we finished the facade improvement job at 321 South Oak. And I don't think there's any address of a building at 321 South Oak. Is that
She left.
Walked out.
She's walked out talking to him.
Is that the Barnhart address?
No.
That's not where Barnhart is?
No, that's the one. That's like 105 or something.
It's the last one to be done.
It's right here by the front porch. Front porch is like 318, and then the next building is 324. So I was. So maybe it's 321 East Sun Marcos.
What's the newspaper address?
It's probably the current. It's probably a typo.
What's the current address?
Typo. Okay.
East Sun Marcos.
City council inquiries for staff.
That's the current.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I would like to, maybe for this, the Heritage, maybe charge a fee for entrance fee in order to fund a facade program, to make, just to use that funding for the facade program, to continue the facade program and just find somebody else to administer the program. But we'll use those funds that we collect from that festival, maybe like a $5 fee, a $5 donation that it could go to fund this kind of program.
The Hispanic Heritage.
We can't ask a $5 donation because it says donation. They don't have to pay it.
So a $5 fee?
$5 fee. I mean, the only reason I'm saying it would be kind of sort of a compromise between the Main Street and the facade program. We can continue at least the facade program release. I mean, we can try to get these businesses cleaned up.
But we still have to budget for the facade program. We're having to budget at least $100,000. So, because she says we still have to have an employee
No, I'm not talking about having an employee, I'm saying that in place of the Main Street program, we continue having a facade program, and how we would fund the facade
Like
program.
a city running program that.
Well, that's what it is now.
Yeah, but just run by the city where we take volunteers, like a.
Other duties are assigned, somebody else would get.
Yes.
Yes.
But we'll still have a facade program. However, it's being administered by another employee. Okay, and it would be kind of sort of a compromise.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done the $5 at one of the festivals, and it was supposed to go into Main Street. Well, I think there's money there.
There's money there already.
I think part of what the gentleman's proposed is giving 10% of his proceeds from the alcohol sales to the city. So that's part of what that could go into whatever fund that the council wants to move forward with. So that's part of something we can consider.
10%. That 10% can go straight in.
Instead of doing the charge at the gate, the 10%. But we can talk about that when we talk about the
Yeah,
contract.
that's what I would like to put that on the agenda, the next agenda. Which, would the next agenda be?
I'll put it. Mayor.
We need to have a special meeting then to
special meeting for the
to approve the contract. We need to get some clarification on that, because we need to fix that. Yeah.
Next Tuesday?
Tomorrow, preferably, but no, that's fine. Yeah, we need to give a notice. What's our next?
Well, Bobby only volunteered, he said he could be here anytime.
Saturday, Bobby?
I'll be paying for him.
If I'm not on vacation.
Tuesday.
No,
As quick as possible.
What, next Tuesday? I'll be here next Tuesday.
And I will ask on that, a ratification of that contract. I know it was my misunderstanding, if that was the.
We have to discuss location on that event, because there's a wedding that day at
There's a whole bunch of things that conflicted with that, the event.
So we gotta
again,
find a location.
It's the location, and again, the gentleman that I'm working with, he doesn't have, again, the luxury. He's talked to me enough, he's been over here 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure something out with him. There's location issues, there's issues with the bands, there's no, as far as what we're asking them to do, we're moving as fast as we can, but there are things that again, we haven't addressed, and we don't have the time. I wish I could honestly tell you that this was done on the straight and narrow, and what I mean by that is that we had the time to do all the things that normally would require for an event like this. But we're trying to do this in a real short amount of time.
Okay, any more agenda items?
I have the, speed bumps.
Yes.
I've been asking them since May. The one on Medina Street.
On which one again?
Medina Street, Bernal Street, and Becker Street. It was before the gross speed bump.
Okay.
Okay. Do other councilmen to
Stay on their item.
I have. I've been asking for it.
We had.
Two other councilmen to agree?
We will have the other one on the sewage. I think the disposal of we'll have I think Bobby has
For the study.
have that information for the disposal of the waste. The septic, I think you've asked for that item as well, and that should be on the next agenda.
Who are the two that's right?
Kiko, by name on the bottom.
Alrighty, any more agenda items? General announcements?
Uche does have some announcements.
Oh, maybe sure.
Good evening once again. Let me pass this one first.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 19.
Hurry up.
Do we do bills paid? Yeah, I have a question. I have a question on bills paid.
We'll come back to it.
Okay, council member, I came here to introduce some new city forms. I've been here going to 2 years, and over the time I've been here, in current planning, the permitting process, I've noticed a lot of confusion in the forms that we already have for building permits, certificate of occupancy, people that just want electricity services, the forms are confusing, So, in the department, we decided to create new forms to help alleviate the stress of the citizens. And then we also created new enforcement tools to help in the administration of the code compliance regime, especially since we have a code enforcement officer. So I have a design for a door hanger. It has the various violations with the references of the various codes that the people are violating. And then I have a placard design which tries to address basically three things: overgrown grass, junk vehicles, things like that. So it will help the code enforcement officer do this job. Well, it's just a presentation for you guys.
Thank you, very good. Bills paid.
Bills paid, ma'am. On bills paid, you'll see, I have Raul Gonzalez Jr., 11,899. And the reason I'm questioning is because it's broken up like in two. Can you explain that to me, and what was the job for? Yeah. It's 11,899.
What page is that?
And 24 cents.
11. Oh, 92?
No.
100.
Okay, so there was 11,899.24 previously ordered. Received was 4,780, 74 cents, and what was voided was 7,118.50. I don't really know what project this was, if it was the fence. These are old POs. This is 19-23886, so it's just on the roster, but it's not a bill that we currently paid. This is an old one. 4,780.74, so it was a partial payment. I don't have money for the, it might have been the barbecue pits or the fence.
The what?
The barbecue pit or the fence, 4,780 and 24.
But if that was the case, it shouldn't be on here because this is general fund.
Second, I gotta switch cards.
All that,
I'm back at pending.
because if it was for that barbecue pits at Polo Patino, that's like totally separate deal.
It's general, it's out of the general fund, because if we inputted it in the general fund and expended it out of the general fund. The insurance fund.
So this was given to the auditors also?
Yes, that's part of the bill.
Can I have an invoice on that, please? I don't need it right now, I'll get it tomorrow.
Oh, okay. It's in that binder behind you, but I can print you out a separate one so you have it.
Okay. And what was the reason it's barely coming to us?
I have to look to see exactly what that one was. I don't have it in my box here. I'll look to see and let you know. Is that the only one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I have a question on page 13. Vulcan Construction. Is that the street crew that was out here?
The asphalt that we go ahead and purchase for the roads, that's Vulcan Construction.
So this is a supply material?
Yes, all the materials, that was for the, over there by Ted Forest Elementary, we did some banners that we did.
That was last month, right?
Yes.
So why is there so much, like the one he